Yeah, hello to you too. Jingle bells and everything else going on. So, it's the 6th after the December. It's 17 after 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It is a Monday. No, we were done seeing the Lucy Monday, California. The sleep-deprived zombie speaks. So, for weeks now, we're talking about problems with certain countries that don't like this. Well, there's a lot of countries that don't like this, and we don't like them. But apparently we're in commercial bed with them because we need their money, and they're taking our property. We got retail and real estate being bought up left and right. Probably as last sort of defense or something like that. I don't know. Somebody tells America, "We own you. We own a piece of America." Ha 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 ha. Yeah, now sounds like I'm doing stereotyping, isn't it? Yeah, with that little smirk right there, and a little snicker right there, a little wink right there. What's that tell you? Little besmirching people, a race, a country. Am I besmirching someone who has absolute total control issues? If they happen to look at all the content we keep pouring out of Hollywood and everywhere else, do they also keep pouring out of the content of what people say about them or what people do in the meantime? No, they want Disneyland to look at China. I mean, they'll look at Shanghai and see Disneyland there. But their own version of Mickey Mouse. We got our own version of Mickey Mouse over here. We just don't put them up in chains. We don't throw them away in a cage somewhere and hide them. Case in point, when we were talking about certain athletes that try to go against the grind of the machine. The machine grinds against them, and you don't see the person anymore. But according to some other official sports people, they say, well, we understand this person's still alive, so we understand. Do you have any proof? We have an understanding. Do you have any physical proof or documentation, video, or anything else? She's alive, dang it! Don't do this to us! I'm asking a simple question. You can't even give me a simple answer as a human being. Don't patronize me, young man! I represent this particular organization over here, and you were just a spectator! Wrong thing to say. Especially when you have egos running amok. Let's say a huge multinational or national organization, depending upon funding from governments and private individuals and corporations. And they all need backing from the little guy. I would say do the math on it. When it comes out for corporations, what do the corporations depend upon? Consumerism. Depend upon the consumer. Well, who am I? Well, the consumer. I consume products. I consume products like this. I consume products like this. Now, to be honest and clear, the Tropicana juice disappeared a long time ago. This is Tang, by the way. This still makes a decent bottle to use for Tang, you know. And Gatorade. So there's more corporations there. Aquavina, and it does have water in it, but not its own. Tap water from local places that were drained dry because of a drought. People keep claiming that stuff tastes bad. I never noticed the difference. Tap water tastes like tap water, depending on where you, it doesn't matter where the hell you go, it still tastes the same. It still tastes like water. Shirts, pants, shoes. Corporations make those. Companies make those. Companies run by people, managed by people. People buying products from that group of people. People. Who am I? I'm people. I'm a consumer. I consume products. I consume products. We live in consumption. Do the math. Now, I'm going to have an organizational sorry son of a bitch over here tells me that I can't say or protest anything because of a country that might have more hold on them than they care to realize or care to want to have over them. They feel like, what are you doing this to us for? Why are you doing this to us for? Get out of here. Well, they can tell you, yeah, I don't like human rights violations. Who does? We don't hear enough of it. We've already got enough of it happening in our own backyard anyway. We get civil servants working in our own local municipalities, our own cities, counties, to have to deal with traumas like these. The country's responding not exactly to an athlete that has problems, but to a system that seems to be screwed up for how many decades? And we're saying to it, no, we're not going to deal with it. We don't like a country that deals with human rights violations. They may be torturing and tormenting their own employee, actually their own athlete, to compete in an organized game event. Do I dare say the event? Do we all know what kind of events I'm talking about? It could have been an event of tiddlywinks. It could have been an event of pogo sticks. Or cripples running on, well, I'll say that again, cripples. Running with walking sticks and walking devices, Paralympics. I mentioned the O word. I mentioned the O word, the Olympics. Oh my God. And the organization I'm talking about is the Olympic organization. The International Olympic Organization. Or whatever they call themselves these days. Especially when we have the local, not the United States, having issues with another country. But we also have the international having more issues with the country than anything else. Do I dare mention the word China? Now granted, I probably have said a lot of things that probably ticked them off anyway, because I didn't give them any respect. Well, they didn't earn any anyway, so what the hell? What did they do to earn my respect? I didn't earn anything. I didn't do anything to earn their respect. That's good. You guys are going to be mistreating your people like crazy because you're communists. No, you're just big ass bullies with the big ass clubs, and you're still threatening your people with the big ass clubs. You're scared of democracy. You're scared of voting. You're scared of the masses wanting that democracy, that vote, because that vote is more powerful than you. But of course, if you can manipulate it in a way, you can vote you guys back in office again and pretend that you're democratic, just like Russia. Yeah, so we'll ring Putin's bell on that one there too. I had an argument with a political science professor that I had taken several years ago. Was Russia considered a democratically elected country, or just a democratic country, or was it a falsetto? I thought it was falsetto. It's flank. Because you have a communist from the old days of the Soviet Union demonstrating that he's still power mad, power hungry, willing to get rid of his opposition by killing, murdering, and stuff like that. Since when does democracy ever support murdering your own opponents, and therefore guaranteeing win like this? He says, but it is democracy. I said, no, it's not. It's a false democracy. Because threatening people, killing people, hurting people, in order to get your way, and that's democracy. Was this what Aristotle had thought of a long time ago? Was this what the Greek nation-states, the city-states, had actually thought of? How to eliminate your opponents and therefore call yourself a legitimate government? Was this what legitimate government looks like? Yeah, if we were going to be having that kind of a government, how come we didn't have that government over here in the first place? Why don't we just why don't we just do some nasty, dastardly stuff to our House of Representatives and Senate people left and right? Let's make it the way China wants it, or the way Russia wants it. Therefore, I would consider it a false democracy at this point over here. But a certain political professor that I actually had an argument with would say no. I say, there's different opinions at this point. Now, I know he's had years of collegiate experience. He's had years of political experience of studying things left and right, not to mention hands-on experience, so I defer to part of his judgment. But to his observation concerning whether certain countries are legitimate or not, it's going to be up to the people in their country to decide whether or not they are legitimate form of government or not. And if you got a strong man in there wiping away everybody, and therefore he's the only one on top, that's not democracy. Sorry to say it. I think my professor was wrong, even though I liked a lot of stuff that he was teaching. So I have a certain point of view of what democracy is supposed to be. I have a certain point of view of what our government system is supposed to be. And I have faith in a government system that actually has faith in the people. If people have faith in it, and if government has faith in the people, then there is going to be dysfunction in there. But there's not going to be any murderers or mass deaths or anything else like that. Or even threatening people and putting them in a jail for speaking what their mind is. Unfortunately, some countries have that capability. They don't want the freedom of press. They don't want the freedom of speech. They want the control of it. Control the masses, control the mindsets, control everything. Keep the fear, keep the pressure. I keep seeing that happening these days in my own damn country. In a country where we're supposed to be having legitimate elections, we have gerrymandering. To a point where we have the Justice Department getting after people in states. They're going after states for gerrymandering. But at least they're not going for human rights violations. No, just political. Just the internal politics. Which is, we have to keep looking at the internal politics as well. If the United States had decided to pull out everything out of us from the upcoming Olympic Games in China, it's reported that it may be bad for everybody. It was bad for the athletes in 1980. Now the Winter Games, when we actually had the Winter Games, were a hell of a lot better than the Summer Games. Summer Games were pulled out, but the Winter Games were kicked ass in. Especially when we kicked ass in hockey. That meant something. No, I think the athletes should stay in there and kick ass. Whether or not they're going to be saying anything concerning about politics is going to be under their ass. But without U.S. diplomatic help at this point over here, they might as well be hostages. But if they're brave enough to go over there to China and mouth off, say what they've got to say, then they have to understand that in a country that doesn't like freedom of speech, and it's just as bad as North Korea, not worse. North Korea, hell, they'll probably bury you and shoot you. Nah, shoot you and then bury you, probably. Things are going crazy these days. And all during a time of winter. This is going to be happening next year when we have the Olympics going on. Right after Christmas, we're going to be having the Winter Olympics. That'll be something to see. But whether or not the United States will be there or not is going to be a different story altogether in the next month or two. And if we don't do this, we're going to be doing the same thing like we did back in the 1980s. Did it hurt us diplomatically? They say probably. It hurt the athletes who trained for years for it. Not only they couldn't get back their own groove back in 1984. The problem is when you're dealing with international relations, including games that are supposed to be fostering goodwill. That's the hardest damn thing to deal with is diplomacy. If they are going to another country, it's up to that other hosting country to decide whether or not, in fact, if places like China would be recognized as their own sovereignty, and therefore their own government systems recognized. We have a problem with that. We have a problem with that. In the South China Sea, we've got several countries battling it out diplomatically and almost militarily, with vessels going in and out of the areas. Some trying to say that this area is open waters, and the others are saying that no, this water belongs to one particular country or another, and that's about it. You don't like it, tough. Kind of hard to deal with politics. Internal politics is one thing. External politics usually screws up everyone else. Right. And just how are we going to be able to look at the Olympics? Each Olympics is going to be different, depending upon the political system and the political atmosphere. Right now, it's dicey. Right now, it's real dicey. But we'll see what happens.